Hello my creative critters, and welcome to Sketching with Sarah. I'm Sarah, and this week I wanted to finally share my process painting my very own custom ceramic dog bowl with mandala art. I got this ceramic dog bowl from my local Color Me Mine and was able to take home some of their glazes to use to paint it. I definitely recommend checking out your local Color Me Mine and taking advantage of their to-go kits, because then you can just paint in the comfort of your own home or outside on a beautiful day, especially with summer coming up, and just take your time with it and enjoy the process. I find ceramic painting super satisfying and therapeutic, and it forces me to slow down and zone out, and it is nice to take my mind off things and listen to a podcast, watch a live stream, or even catch up on my favorite YouTubers in the background. I also find painting mandalas so relaxing too because of the repetition. So I first started sketching lightly with pencils, some rings around the bowl from the center, as best I could to try and hopefully keep my mandala design as even as possible for as long as I can. Lightly drawing on bisque with pencil is super helpful because the graphite will burn off in the kiln and you won't see it, so it is ideal for planning what you're gonna paint. Then I eyeballed some lines that go straight through the middle of all of the rings as a guide when I start to draw the mandala design. Then I just got creative and started drawing patterns and shapes to start to create the mandala on the inside of the bowl. I mentioned in last Friday's video that there are a lot of big changes happening in my life at the moment, and there are a lot of moving parts, so this past week has been a bit stressful. Nothing too overwhelming or something I can't manage, but this week I just really felt like hanging out and painting this dog bowl for my fur baby. I guess this could be a fun little reminder to try and do something for you this week. I challenge you to find something that brings you joy and to be selfish for a bit. Sometimes it can be hard to find the time, but you just gotta make the time because you are worth it. Anyway, back to the ceramics. At my local Color Me Mine, they have these lazy Susans or turntables, which would have made this way easier, but since I was painting this at home, I just had to manually turn it to try and keep the mandala patterns as even and as uniform as possible. There's something so satisfying about drawing these because you can really doodle whatever you want and it all comes together in the end. It's obviously not perfect, but I think the hand-drawn quirks is really fun, and I kind of just embrace that the lines aren't going to be perfect and smooth, especially since this is just the guide for when I actually start painting. This ceramic dog bowl in particular was pretty deep with really steep walls to create the bowl shape, so it was kind of a challenge to draw on that crease from the bottom to the wall, if that makes sense. And I guess that's just kind of part of painting on a 3D piece. I think it's a fun challenge, and the end result is always so worth any struggles you had to work through along the way. So I finished drawing my design for the inside of the bowl, and I actually ended up designing it to continue on the outside of the bowl as well, but I decided to paint the outside just plain black and have the focal point be on the inside of the bowl. Not necessarily out of laziness or anything, I just thought it would be kind of a lot and too busy if I just continued the pattern on the outside as well. I also had to keep in mind that although this was really fun to draw with pencil on the ceramic, some of the designs might end up changing once I start painting to simplify it and make it easier to paint with the paint bottles that I'm going to use to fill in the shapes. So like I said, I got some writer bottles with the colors that I want to use in this bowl from Color Me Mine, and I picked a nice range of sunset colors and some deeper, more red violets too. All the colors you will see me using will change dramatically once fired, so keep that in mind because right now they all look pretty pastel, especially once they dry completely. Using the writer bottles is so nice because since it comes out kind of thick, I don't have to do 3 coats of everything, which does save a lot of time. And it is satisfying to fill in those shapes. I started with the lightest of the color palette that I chose to use on this bowl, and that is a warm yellow color. In Color Me Mine paint terms, it is number 21 on their colors that they have to choose from. I also used number 3, number 18, number 98, number 66, and 42, just as a reference if you want to know exactly what number colors I used if you go to Color Me Mine to pick your colors. I picked a nice variety of big to small shapes to paint in yellow to make sure I had a nice balance of that color throughout the design. Then I kind of just did whatever I felt like for the rest of it while trying not to have the same color dominate too much at a time and to not have the same color touch each other too much, so all the shapes are more clear from one another. It's so satisfying filling in some of the larger shapes, but also kind of awkward because I had to weirdly reach into the bowl, and it was a little bit of adjusting, but I did start to get the hang of it. I had some other issues along the way when it came to filling in the shapes on the walls of the bowl, because since the glaze comes out kind of a lot, it started to drip down a little bit, especially on those yellow teardrop shapes, and later on when I outline that, you'll start to see it pool a little bit at that point. So to combat that, I would let it dry upside down so that hopefully gravity would make the paint spread out other way a little more evenly. I also might end up sanding it a little once it's dried, so there's not too much glaze builds up there, because that could lead to crawling, where the bisque actually repels the glaze when there's too much on it once it's in the kiln, and it leaves little bare spots of raw bisque where the pool of glaze was. This can be problematic because raw bisque is porous and absorbs moisture, and that's bad, especially if this will be to hold water, which is what this dog bowl is gonna do. Water will seep into the pores of the bisque and it leads to buildup of bacteria, and it's just not good. So now I'm going to fill in the rest of the shapes, and I'll meet you back here to show the final results before it goes into the kiln to fire. So as I get closer to finishing the mandala on the inside of the bowl, I do want to mention that I ended up painting all of the black on the outside of the bowl as well as the underneath off camera because I needed a lot of black to do a good 3 coats over everything, and it was just easier to do it there and refill the paint as needed rather than bringing home a ton of to-go cups to have enough paint to finish it at home. I upload my videos here every Friday, and it takes a few days to fire any ceramic piece at this studio, and as I'm recording this voiceover, I know for a fact there are already both of the kilns going at this Color Me Mine studio as we speak, so once those are done and cooled and emptied, my bowl can go in. So unfortunately, I don't know what this will really look like until then, but I did loosely base the colors that I chose off of this beetle box that I painted, so I'll show you what that looks like so you can kind of imagine the colors that I was going for. So this is the final painting of this custom ceramic dog bowl, and I can't wait to share it fired. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching me paint this dog bowl, and if you want to see the final results, I would encourage you to check out my Instagram at Sketching with Sarah, because I am making a reel of the process as well on there, which will include the result after it fires, and it'll also be featuring my dog, so if anything, be on the lookout to see her in my Instagram reel that I'm going to be posting once the piece is done. Anyway, if you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to leave it a like and subscribe for more art content. If you want to see more ceramic painting content, I have a playlist of a few other projects that I've filmed, like my DIY Mrs. Potts from Beauty and the Beast teapot, as well as a sunflower plate that I painted for my mom, and also a little gnome ring holder too. I've painted all kinds of other stuff also, and some of it I made into reels on Instagram, so if you want to see even more ceramics that I've painted. But I also do things like sketchbook tours, trying new art supplies, art challenges, and way more, so check out my channel, and if you like what you see, consider subscribing. I'd love to have you here. Thank you guys so much for watching, stay creative, and I will see you in next Friday's video.